Hey guys, welcome back to another Rare podcast. We do have a very, very, very special guest and some highly requested, and it's been so long since we've had him on. Actually, we haven't even had him on, but now we do. We have Star Killer Mike in the studio today.
How's it going, guys? Good to have you. Good. Thank you for having me.
You have us?
Yeah.
He does. He actually held us at gunpoint.
No, he's on my time.
Blaster point, huh?
Blaster
I mean,
point.
we don't want to take out our little lightsabers. Our big lightsabers, I mean.
Oh, more Star Wars references.
Of course. I mean, what are you wearing?
Yeah. Well, it's certainly not Star Wars. I think it's Star Trek centric, I believe, or even Batman centric, from what I hear.
Oh, bet. Oh gosh.
I mean, anyway. Yeah, we could go down that road too.
I would say Batman's much better.
Yeah. So I've heard. So I heard you like the Bats, but I mean, if you're like a Batman fan, does that make you like a Joker fan as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Is he like
Definitely.
your favorite DC villain, or where do you land on that spectrum?
100%. 100%. Definitely. I like Heath Ledger's Joker.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
100%. I like the new Joker though. Like, it's really good. It was a very, very dark movie.
Yeah.
But it was done well, and I could see why it won so many awards. But there's nothing better than Heath Ledger's Joker, and I think the only reason Heath Ledger's Joker was really good was because Christian Bale's Batman is top tier.
Yeah.
So that's why, I like both of them, and I think they're really good.
I totally agree. I mean, I think that personally for me, when I saw Jordan Phoenix's Joker, it was just out of the park for sure. I've never seen something done like that to that degree, where you're talking about a man who has a mental deficiency, and he's making a big struggle in his life, and it just made you see the villain completely different than what you're used to seeing. Like, this is someone you can actually relate to, and not very many villains can relate to that, you know. I mean, just for storytelling alone, that's just phenomenal.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm bad. Oh, hey, I'm wearing a Superman shirt. So there's that.
Yeah, I heard you're a Superman hater. What happened with that? Why don't you like Superman?
Dude, okay, I'm
And
not
then
a
you wear a
Superman
Superman
hater.
shirt,
I'm
right?
not a Superman hater. I just don't like
He doesn't
Superman
like how
as
it's,
much as I like
neatly tied
Batman.
in a bow. His whole story is neatly tied in a bow.
What do you mean tied in a bow, though?
Meaning it's not as realistic, I think.
He's an alien.
Well, exactly. That he's invincible to everything.
Uh-huh.
I just don't like how people hate on Batman, extreme, they're just nah, fuck Batman,
There's a camp that hates Batman.
he sucks. Yeah, Superman's so much better, and I'm like, dude, Superman's not even real. Batman can actually be a real person.
Yeah, I've never heard of this camp that actually hates Batman, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Everyone I've known, personally, I've always been a Batman fan, but, I mean, me personally, I've liked Batman and Superman both. They're both phenomenal characters in my opinion, but, yeah, that's a new one for me. Yeah, who's hating Batman?
They're just Batman haters.
Yeah, the guy, really does, some jujitsu moves on, fellas, and then he breaks their arm, whatever.
And he doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah, that's his whole
Right?
motive.
He's even if they've done crazy things, he doesn't kill them.
Even in the DC Legends, what was it? Superman had killed the Joker. That was crazy.
Exactly.
And Superman's supposed to be this whole oh, I'm this good guy sort of figure, but all of a sudden he kills the Joker. What's up with that?
Yeah,
You know?
he's not so good after all. He's never has. I mean, there's a lot of times he gets too angry, and then he uses his powers too far, or he goes too far with his powers. So it's how can you hate on Batman, or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, another one to be said about that. I mean, I think someone that doesn't get a lot of credibility is the Green Lantern. He's not the Green Lantern movie.
I think the movies are just bad. I think he gets a lot of hate because the movies are just bad.
I gotta say, I actually enjoyed the movies, though. I think, not because of the actors and the story and stuff like that. I enjoyed it because, I like to see the animation, more or less see the characters come to life. I can care less if the acting's, bad. If it's awful, sure. But if it's just mediocre, I can get over it because, like I said, it's nice to see the characters come to life. Same thing with like the Justice League that came out. You know, the movie was honestly crap. Let's just be real.
Yeah, I wasn't.
But it was cool to see everybody come together, not in the same way as like Avengers. Avengers just threw it like way out of the park. It's just insane.
Well, you got to remember with the Avengers, that was like 10 years of build-up.
Exactly.
I mean, you got to figure that Marvel, they hit like average, and this is just the honest truth from what I saw in every movie. It's nothing that was done differently. But then they made like 2-3 movies, which I'll name drop, like Civil War, Endgame, and the last one, the Infinity War. I got those mixed up, but anyways, those were probably their best ones because it's actually when you get to see heroes attack each other, which is something I don't think you see very often in cinema done. Two heroes just collide with each other.
Yeah, I mean, now that we're talking about two heroes colliding with each other, I think the award for worst movie goes to Batman versus Superman.
You really think it was that bad?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so bad that I don't even remember how the movie went at all. And I think it was just a horrible movie. And let me put something straight. That guy who played Batman is just the worst ever.
Really?
What's his name?
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, yeah, worst Batman ever.
I don't think he's the worst Batman ever. I thought he was certainly the most muscular and intimidating.
No, I mean, his suit was like the intimidating one, not even him. Like,
Yeah,
his suit was
exactly.
just like, it was so like heavy too. Like, his suit was just, I don't know, he seemed like he was trying to turn into Iron Man or something.
Well, that was the point, because in the actual comics, where I think in the Batman vs. Superman movie, he actually wears an iron-like suit, bat suit, and that's legitimate. But I understood that, and I'm not even that big of a DC fan, but when I saw Batman vs. Superman, I was blown away, because it took a very different approach than I expected it to. It showed both sides. You got Superman's side, a very sort of Christian, sort of centric, religious, whatever you want to look at it as, because that's how they view this guy, as the second coming of, like a hero or whatever. And then this Batman-like figure is like, mankind versus, basically a god, or a demigod, whatever you want to look at that in the mythology side, or however you interpret that as. But anyways, that's how I saw that as, like,
wow.
Basically two different individuals, mankind versus God, sort of thing. And that was phenomenal to me. Like, can mankind defeat a demigod, in a sense? And you definitely saw that it's possible if mankind can definitely think. That was the whole point of Batman's strategy, is how can I outthink this creature from a different world,
I think that's what I was trying to say about Lex Luthor before, too, is that at least that's why I like that show Smallville, is because, or I kind of like Lex Luthor altogether, just because his whole viewpoint is everybody's so enraptured by this Superman, this alien, and in reality, don't forget, he's still an alien. So he can wipe him out in any second he wants to. And Lex Luthor is really the only one that says, hey, let's take a step back. Maybe, if he loses his mind or gets angry, he can really wipe us all out like that.
Yeah.
So that's why.
And so was Lex Luthor really the bad guy?
Well, exactly. That's what I was trying to say before.
But
Maybe he's not.
But that's the thing about Lex Luthor. He does have somewhat of a point, because you got Bizarro, the alternative to Superman, who actually is evil, right? Is that his name?
The hat guy?
No. The opposite, Superman's alter ego, Bizarro, I think it is, right?
I forget.
Zorro? Is that a different guy?
No, it's actually Superman. It's Superman, but like zombified or like robotified. I don't know.
Well, basically, yeah. Think of it this way: if Superman turned out evil and Lex was still against him, would people view Lex as evil then too? Probably not.
Let me drink you the straw.
That's a great point. Well, I mean, aside from that, let's talk a little bit about like. I hear that you protect a lot of starships out there. There's a reason why you're very notorious as a star killer. There's a reason for that. And I hear you have a lot of stories about how you protect the starship and you protect Darth Vader and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I want to hear some of those stories that in the folklore of Star Killer Mike, there's a lot of legendary stories, and I just want to hear some of them.
So, I think what you're asking for is like the origins, like why I called myself Star Killer, right?
Yeah, the origins.
So, I think I could start from the beginning. This will be like a little bit of an origin story for you guys until I actually do my own. But anyways, yeah, when I was a little kid, I would say around like 10, 13 years old, I forget, there was this video game that came out, and it was called, I think Kyle will remember, The Force Unleashed, right?
Yes.
You played as this like Darth Vader's secret apprentice, and you're going out around the galaxy hunting down Jedi. Is basically the plot, and you're playing as like the 16-year-old kid. Now, as a kid, I looked up to this kid. I was like, oh shoot, that could be me. You know, like Darth Vader's secret apprentice, hunt down Jedi. This was basically the equivalent story of like, what if Luke went bad? You know, and I was like, this guy's awesome. You know, and that's how I adopted the name Starkiller, Mike, basically, because yeah, he was just that cool of a character. Not only that, Starkiller was actually in the original script for Luke Skywalker before George Lucas changed it because Starkiller sounded too menacing. So originally it was going to be Luke Starkiller, not Luke Skywalker. But before the movie was made, George Lucas said, okay, we're going to go change that. And then you had Starkiller later on. But anyways, that's a little bit of the backstory with Starkiller.
That'd be an interesting change, by the way, too. Just to imagine that. You know, like the final scene that Rey had where she's like, I'm a Skywalker.
I'm a Starkiller.
Imagine, I'm a Starkiller.
It sounds like a badass name, honestly. It really does. I mean, Starkiller Base, I was shocked to hear that it was in the movie. I thought it was going to be the actual apprentice, but I was like, oh, all right. Excuse me. A little bit of alcohol.
I don't know. I mean, Luke Starkiller would be a little bit too much, in my opinion.
You think so?
I think that's why they went with the executive decision to go with Luke Skywalker.
I think we'd be saying the same thing in an alternative universe, being like, oh, Luke Skywalker sounds too silly. You know, Skywalker.
Well, I think just like you said, I think Starkiller just sounds. It sounds like it's too much. It
has
like
to be the Sith.
You're trying to prove that you're super strong and stuff, whereas Skywalker has like a sense of
anonymity, like
humbleness.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's a sense of humbleness, like, oh yeah, I could muster up the power if I need to, but like I'm,
Yeah. Well,
I'm not all powerful.
It's kind of interesting when you bring that up because, what was it, George Lucas, I mean, when he made Return of the Jedi, originally, Luke was actually going to take the helmet of Vader and become the Emperor himself and overthrow the Emperor and all that stuff. It was going to be a completely different movie until George Lucas said, okay, we're going to just change it up. Kind of the same thing that JJ did, but it was more like they obviously didn't go through with it. It would be a completely different movie and a completely different era we'd be living in the Star Wars fantasy universe, but yeah. So that's basically why I chose the name Starkiller, because it's closely resembled to Luke Skywalker and the apprentice of Starkiller.
I mean, but let's just be real. That Force Awakens game, all three of them were just phenomenal, though.
Force Awakens game?
That's what I thought you were talking about. Not the Force Awakens, I'm sorry. Force
Unleashed.
Unleashed.
Yeah,
Force
yeah.
Unleashed game.
I thought they were. I
They're
personally
freaking
love
amazing.
them.
They're like the game that just came out.
Fallen
Order. It's like
Yeah.
Fallen Order, but so much better. The guy has like 2 lightsabers and he's just super strong. And there's literally a point where there's a starship falling towards you and you have to use the Force. And that's the difficult part, but you have to use the Force to actually like push it away or rip it in half.
Legit, I was playing that on hard mode when I was a kid. It took me 3 hours to beat that.
Yeah.
That was insane. That was back when the Xbox 360 was around, and you had it was just difficult.
There's a way like you had to like move the controllers in circles. One way is like opposite directions and then the same direction. Like you had to just keep figuring it out.
And then the TIE fighters would keep coming after you.
So you had
It
to
was
jump and
like,
dodge it. Yeah.
I couldn't do it. It took me a long time to do that, and I kept getting mad.
Yep, I specifically remember that
But
stuff.
damn, if that game wasn't hard, playing on a master mode and defeating the Emperor, you had to just block in order to defeat him, because he kept sending his guards out, and then that was another difficult mode that I remember. But yeah, that was back in the day when I was a kid. That's why I chose the name Starkiller, anyways.
So I think what Johnny was asking though before was like, not to mention the name, but as you're on this on the Death Star on a regular nightly basis.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And you're guarding certain, Imperials. What are some of the stories that you have?
So basically, I traveled the galaxy, as you guys know. Every night, I work about 7 days a week, all 12-hour shifts, and this is pre-COVID, by the way. I'm working this pre-COVID for about, I want to say 3, almost 4 years. I've been working 12-hour shifts, and I've just gotten used to it. Do that in school, it just is what it is, and you just learn to adapt. But I've had my fair share of stories because I've been at this particular base for about, I want to say 7 to 8 years almost. 8 years coming up. So, anyways, what are some stories? I mean, I can talk about like my first year into working at like my base and what it was.
I can't get over it. I love it.
Is there would be a legitimate nightclub. with the scum and villainy and whatnot, you could say. And I would actually this was my first experience, like a 17-year-old kid who was actually working at this base, quote unquote, you know what I mean? And I would witness a lot of things that go on at night. A lot of things. Just different amount of environments, people. It taught me to learn how to talk to people properly, because that's something, I guess as a 17-year-old kid, you don't know how to do until you actually do it when you're talking to 34-year-olds and 25-year-olds and they want to just, go out and have a party, basically. Anyways, I started off small. I was working the valet. I was just saying, hey, come through this way, park on this side, this, and that. And, some people, tell you bad words in a different space language or whatever. And it is what it is, you just deal with it. So, anyways, like my first week working, first of all, I had this guy who came up to me, right? And I was just doing the valet, like I said. He came up to me and he was like, what you doing out here? I'm like, I'm just doing the valet, this, and that. Unfortunately, you can't park here because there's a difference between, working at a club and basically at a hotel, basically. And he was like, oh, no, I'm just going to park here anyways, And he flipped me off or whatever it was, and it was like, all right, whatever, I don't care. We're just going to tow your car anyways. You keep coming my way. About, I want to say, what was it? Around like 2 in the morning when the club's actually closed down, he actually gets a room here. So I'm like, oh, shoot, I can't tow his car, whatever. And that's that. So I do my walkthrough, my regular checkups on like the hotel, making sure it's secured and whatnot, safe and protected. And I remember that as I'm walking around, I hear this woman crying, and I'm thinking, oh, that's weird, I go check on her. I'm like, hey, ma'am, you gotta close this door. Hotel procedures, this, and that. And it's like, okay, close the door. The next room over, I see this man crying. It's the same guy that, basically told me off. I'm like, hey, dude, you gotta close the door. And his bro comes up to me. He's like, okay, don't worry about it. We'll get it closed. I'm thinking that's strange. Anyways, what was it? I go to the lunchroom, and I'm just chilling. I'm waiting for the end of my shift. It's like 3 in the morning. And what was it that happens? He basically, like an hour later, my boss, he's walking the floors himself, and he hears like this woman screaming outside, and they're like on the 3rd floor. So I guess they're fighting back and forth, this and that, cursing out the wind, and he's with the front desk trying to control the situation. As that's happening, I guess the woman takes it upon herself to push the guy down the stairs. He falls 3 stairs down and gets a gash on his face, like Kylo Ren, basically. And he's my boss is like, hey, are you okay? He's like, oh, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to leave. And he leaves. He goes down this dark alleyway, and he's never to be seen again. And I'm going to come back to that story in just a bit. So, anyways, the woman comes down to my boss in the front desk. She's like, oh, my God, my husband left me, boo-hoo, this, that. And it's like, wow, we can't let her in the room because he took the keys, and we can't legitimately let her in the room because of legal reasons. And I don't know if that's a California thing or a statewide thing, but we can't let her in the room. That's just how it is. So anyways, she's at the front desk. We're trying to call the room because there's people in there. We know there's people in there, and they're just all, passed out. They're all like, they just came from the club. What do you expect, right? So as that's happening, we get a call from the other hotel across the street because we work at 2 different hotels. One here is like on this side, the other one's on this hill over here. Like they're literally a block apart. And we get a call from like the front desk and saying, hey, there's a suspicious man we just kicked out of the hotel. He's wearing tats, wearing a tank top, shorts, and he looked like he was carrying a blunt object. Beware. We're like, okay, we'll keep an eye out. Anyways, as that's happening, the woman is, she's still intoxicated. She leaves the hotel, and this is without my supervisor's knowledge. She leaves, and she's going down this dark alleyway, basically to go after her husband or whatever. As that's happening, the guy with the blunt object is following her suspiciously, and he's right on her tail. And my boss is just yelling out, hey, come back. And every time he yells at her, the guy just turns around with a blunt object, So as that's happening, she turns around, she looks, and then she keeps going. He's following her, and my boss can't literally leave because of legal reasons. You can't leave a property because we're just a certain faction. You can't go outside and do things that you're already set to do because there's a difference between public property and private property. Anyways, he's yelling out to her, and she's literally in the dark at this point. Literally in the dark. All of a sudden, 2 homeless people come out of the bushes, and they literally look like they're about to jump this guy. And just in the nick of time, the police come, they line everybody up, they sit everybody down, and they get the full story of what's going on. They take the guy in with a blunt object because he was under some sort of federal warrant, or he had a warrant on his arrest. They take him in, and the 2 homeless people, they just let him go. They bring the woman back to the spot where we work at, and now we don't know what to do with her. It's like 4 a.m. at this point. So now, finally, we call the room one more time. Somebody answers. And we're like, okay, got a hold of him. And now, when we get a hold of the guy, he comes down. He's a little intoxicated. He's like, hey, you know what? We're going to take a taxi. And she leaves with this guy holding hands and giving him a kiss.
The one that she pushed down the stairs.
No, different guy. Different guy. So not her husband. So they leave. I'm like, okay, that's trippy. You know, why is she fighting with her husband and seeing this other guy? And we make the connection. Oh, she was doing what she does. You know. And that was that. That was the end of the night.
Is that on? Is this on Tatooine?
It is on. We're gonna say Tatooine.
It's on Tatooine?
We're going to say Tatooine, but I'm going to get out of Tatooine soon. But I got a story about that, how I actually survived Tatooine. So, anyways, we leave, and that's that. At the end of the night, I go home, and then all of a sudden, while I'm at school, the police call me. I'm 17 years old, the police call me. And they tell me an incident report happened. I'm like, what happened? What happened? So the police call me, and they're telling me, hey, this guy, literally, while he was walking down this alleyway, got ran over by a car. The guy that left the hotel got ran over by a speeder, basically. You know, he was done. So
the guy who got pushed down the stairs.
He was gone.
So you got the Kylo Ren treatment?
The guy that had the Kylo Ren gas, he was gone. Gone.
Dead.
By
a car. By a speeder.
Yeah. No joke. That was like my first week working.
Your first week working.
The guy that told me off, the guy that we were going to tow his car, he died.
Dead that night.
Gone.
Wow.
So it gets better.
Use the valet.
It gets better.
So I work about 2 years later, and a year later. I think it's like New Year's or whatever, I forget. And I go back into the club, Mos Eisley. I go back inside,
cantina.
And because I'm working with the club now, I get paid by them daily, to work the valet. And what happens is I'm in the club with my boss, and I'm just getting my money. That's it. I'm just there to go talk to the manager. That's it.
No bounties.
Huh?
No bounties.
No bounties, yeah.
Okay.
No bounties yet. I'll get into that part later. I did make my first bounty, so that story's going to come, I promise. But I go inside the club, and I see that same chick with a different guy than she was with.
Wow.
And my boss,
She's in that
my
host
commander
stage.
calls her out. He's like, hey, weren't you with so-and-so just like
3 seconds ago?
a year ago? And this guy's intoxicated. He's like, hey, what is he talking about? And she's like, I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. So,
do I even know you?
That was the last. Yeah, she knew who you were. She knew our faces. She's like, oh, you're security.
No,
she was like taunting us like this and that. I remember you, And as soon as we brought up that story, he was like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Hoes be crazy, but they're never cold. Isn't that weird?
I don't know, man. I've met
Hoes
some
are
cold
never
ones in my
cold.
days.
Isn't that like a weird thing?
I don't know. I've met some cold people in my days.
I just mean like they're wearing like no clothes and they're never cold in like 40-degree weather.
Yeah.
Is that like weird to you? You just gotta be stylish over being comfortable.
When you start working enough days and you see like basically, women coming from out of the Mos Eisley spaceport or whatever, and they take off their panties, start peeing on the actual concrete, it's a completely different game.
Wow.
And you get all these guys in their blazers. They come like, oh, don't worry, she's not doing nothing.
Dude, are you like in Miami?
No, dude, this is freaking. I can't name drop where it's at, but yeah,
California?
It is California.
Damn, it sounds like
Welcome
it's
to
Miami.
Cali, baby.
I mean, honestly, like, there's no better place than Miami, New York, and California.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. And,
for sure. For sure.
I mean, honestly, I want to go to Miami for a little bit. Maybe when this thing is over, I want to live in Miami for a little bit, be a little rebel for a little bit.
Miami has a good spot. You know, it's very good weather, nice beaches for sure. But
Bitches? Yes.
Beaches.
Nice beaches.
Beaches. Oh yeah, the beach is okay.
Yeah.
A lot of sharks and a lot of jellyfish.
Yeah, don't get stung by those, dude. And I heard the pee thing does not work actually.
You know, I heard it just disinfects it, but it doesn't actually do anything.
It actually makes it, from what I've actually heard on whatever I watched it on, it actually makes the infection worse because depending
I saw
on
it
what
on Friends.
Well, what is-
They made it better.
What is
on Friends? They're
What do you
right.
say about that?
They were so like embarrassed when they're like, oh, like they made that scene so long. Like that scene could have been literally a minute long, and they made that scene like 7 minutes long. They were like so beating around the bush like the entire
So if I
time.
had to pee on you, would you just happily admit it?
Do it.
Yeah.
Kyle. Do it.
I got stung by a stingray.
You got stung on the face.
When, like if I couldn't pee on myself, then sure. Like yeah, that's fine. Like we wouldn't tell anybody.
No, we just filmed it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
TikTok
Yeah, we
it.
just film it.
Dude, TikTok that.
Yeah, we just film it. Sure. I mean, the whole world can know. That's fine. I wouldn't mind.
He's like
Sure.
so submissive to take it
On our
already. I'm just like,
OnlyFans.
wow, Johnny.
People out here are getting more than just getting peed on, you know. So it's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
whatever. Who
R.
cares?
Kelly
People
style.
pay for that.
Bro, R. Kelly style.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah,
hey, yo,
yeah,
hey, yo,
yeah.
hey, yo, hey, yo.
All right.
Oh.
So what happened on Dandelion?
Okay, hold on. We know you have a ton of stories. You know,
I can tell one.
unfortunately, we're busy people, but we just need we want your
Your best.
craziest story.
I don't
Like
know about-
the first thing that comes to mind.
Like
Just
being
like
encountered
whoa,
by a Jedi.
just the craziest story ever.
I don't think I've counted a Jedi, but I can tell you my craziest story that I've experienced.
Okay, your craziest story working security. Let's go.
First of all, I want to say that this is only my. I think this makes the story better, so I'm
Okay.
going to tell it like this. So when I was a junior in high school, I was already working security. I was already at the age where I could legally work security.
Okay.
So what happens is that it's a year later, and the whole reason I'm working security is for a school project. Nothing more, nothing less.
Okay.
So anyways, that was the whole preface. So for about a year, I was doing the security thing, right? And I'm doing research papers, I'm doing this, doing that, going to meetings, talking about security, knowing about Homeland Security, knowing everything you can about security, basically. So there's that. And then what happens is it's like Christmas. It's like near Christmas time, like December 21st, I think it was. And what happens that day? It's literally bad because we know a month in advance. We get this big DJ coming into town. For those of you old
DJ Rare Johnny.
DJ Rare Johnny. no. For those of you old hip hop fans, like old school Pacific.
You got Biggie.
We have DJ Quick coming into town.
I don't know who that is.
If you guys know who DJ Quick, Compton rapper, and notorious for working with like different people under like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, all them, and that's like my honest favorite era of rap. But anyways, I'm not gonna self-promote myself or whatever. Anyways, I'm working that night, and this big rapper's coming into town, and we're all security's getting prepared. We're expecting the worst. So anyways, we get word from the club that the Crips and the Bloods are going to be showing up from Compton and Pomona.
From Compton and from Pomona.
So this is going to be like a legitimate thing. So anyways,
Legitimate.
what happens is it's the night of the club. We spent like weeks preparing and all this stuff, and I don't think anything could have prepared us for this.
Nothing
So-
could prepare him.
Dude, I'm ready.
So anyways, and again, this is only my year into security. I barely just understanding what it means to be a guard because I was
Okay.
I was only doing ballet in a suit, and that was it.
And you only had a blaster.
I didn't even have a blaster at the time.
You didn't have a
I
blaster?
did not have a blaster at the time. And
Damn, Mr. Vader didn't give you shit.
I want to say what I did have is my utility belt, but even then that's not enough because, those flash grenades will not do anything.
You just had a walkie.
I had a walkie, yeah.
Wow. So he had to call for backup.
Well, you got to understand, too, this is not the type of security we're doing. This would have called for a different type of security. But anyways, I was just working and doing my thing, and it was packed. Like, I want to say the club capacity is at 700. There was over 1,200 people there because of the rapper.
Holy, okay.
And here's what makes it better. The rapper didn't even show up that day.
Wow. What?
Yeah, he canceled last minute.
So everyone raged.
Everyone raged, and I'm going to get into that in a bit.
Including the Bloods and the Crips.
I would have. What the fuck? Who doesn't show up?
Instead, they got this Pomona DJ, and they brought him
Fuck that
over.
Pomona DJ.
They brought him over, and
I love you, Pomona DJ.
that was that. They brought this guy from Pomona, and he was DJing, right? And it was cool. It was cool for like a good minute, better than I anticipated, but it was packed to the brim. So
the
anyways,
brimstone.
I tell Brimstone, it's Brimstone. The Shrek reference.
Molly.
Donkey. Okay, so anyways, I'm over there, and what happens is it's like 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. You know the clubs are already done. They're done popping off, and that's that.
Yep.
So
It's not Spain.
I literally talk to my boss on the radio, my commander in chief, and I'm like, hey, for a Compton night, it wasn't that bad. The second I say that, all of a sudden I hear, no.
Oh.
I hear something better.
Better? You're a bum?
So I hear freaking AR-15s going off.
AR-15?
AR-15s, AK-47s popping off.
AK-47s?
For a good, I want to say, 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
3 minutes of gunfire.
Of 3 minutes, AK-47, AR-15.
AR-15 for sure. Yeah, dude, it was legit. And I was at the window with the front desk. I'm like, get down. And
with the front desk?
Yeah. The window, because we have clear glass windows. Yeah. I literally talk.
They're not bulletproof.
And my boss is down there too, so he's telling everybody, because we had guests checking in at that other hotel.
Guests checking in?
Guests that were checking
with
in.
AR-15.
Sorry, you're not listening to him. Like we all heard. Thank you.
So these guests are just checking in. They just want to go to bed, and then all of a sudden
they want to go to bed.
Yes.
That's gonna work. You want to go to bed? Get out of here.
So
dude, guests checking in, and there's AR-15 fire at the
Yeah, so that happens, and
there's no way you work in California. This is Miami.
No, dude, this is California. I'm not gonna name where it's at. But it's the California.
It's at the Star Killer base.
It's Death Star base, Death Star 2.
Death Star 2.
Yeah, Death Star. We're gonna call it Death Star 2. So, anyways, it's a really bad night, and obviously, it didn't turn out so bad at the beginning.
It didn't turn out so bad?
But at the end, it was just horrible. So, anyways,
at the end,
what we do.
And then they wanted to go to bed.
So,
oh my God, Kyle.
So I'm just worried about my commander. He's okay and whatnot. And, it turns out after like 5 minutes of the gunfire that was going off.
Did they shoot in the air?
Because after, no, I'm going to get into that right now.
Get into it.
I'm trying to, but you keep cutting me off. So anyways, as that's happening, look at these guys. It's just like the last podcast. Stopping each other.
Get into it.
Woo! Okay, so anyways, as that's going down, finally the gunfire stops. And then it continues like a legitimate minute later, and it goes off for another 2 minutes with just pistols this time. Anyways, I'm hearing on the radio as my commander is contacting me, everyone's screaming from the streets to the hotel. It was a mess, and I'll never forget what I saw that day because
What'd you see?
Well, first of all, my boss is down there, and we have to wait for the cops to show up, and they completely close down the street because they have to.
He's got like 8 gun wounds in him.
So anyways, they close down the street, and it makes the news.
Oh, you made the news.
So
of course it made the news. There's freaking, what is it? You said ARs going off?
So anyways, that happens. What my boss is like down there, and he's talking to people after everyone leaves the scene.
Okay.
There's blood on cars and stuff like that.
Blood on cars.
There's there's we talked to the police that when they showed up, they said that bodies were piling up at the hospital. So that was something that I remember, and when that happened, he was talking to another woman in the car, and she was like this close from dying because the bullet that was firing at her, she ducked her head enough to where it hit the rear view mirror, and if she was any closer, it would have killed her, basically.
Wow, all because that rapper didn't come through.
Basically.
Essentially, yeah, honestly.
That's
So
crazy rapper.
no, it's not even that. It's not even that, dog. It's like what it was is the Crips and the Bloods. They hate each other. They hate.
Of course, but they were gonna come through no matter what. So it's like, so even if that guy showed up, it was a death scene either way.
I guess,
Pretty
but
much, yeah.
it's
All
not-
it takes is for one member to see the other member, even if it's just one.
yeah.
Let alone any more than like, hey guys, get over here.
That's how it is. So, anyways,
And
after
that was
that,
like
go ahead.
so early into your career as a security star killer.
Yeah.
Insane. I mean, how are you still alive today?
I don't know, man.
You were having to tell security people get down because there's AR-15 fire, there's AK-47 fire right now.
Yeah, what was going through your head at the moment too?
So what was going through my head is just,
You just get down and you were like, let
you
me
know
protect
what?
other
I'll be
people
honest
right
with you. What was going through my head? It was like my sixth shooting within like a
now.
year.
Six shooting?
Sixth shooting, and that wasn't even the closest I was at.
Sixth?
Sixth. Yeah,
Shooting.
within a year. A year's time, I went through like.
You're not even 6 years old and you have 6 shootings.
Yeah, I know, man.
I can honestly count how many shootings I've been involved in. 0. And you've been involved in 6 before
Within
you're
1 year.
18.
When 1 year, I'm 18
Within
years,
1 year.
and I'm 18 years old. So
That's insane.
I'll tell you this much. It was by the time I experienced it, my sixth time, I didn't care. I legitimately didn't care anymore.
You didn't care anymore.
But I did kind of fear it a little bit because it was a different sound. It sounded like firecrackers, dude. It sounded like firecrackers, just nonstop. And when it clicked in my head, oh, this is legit.
You're
This
like,
is real.
oh, dang, it's right here next to me.
I was just more worried about my commander. That's it.
Oh,
And
that's a good soldier.
honestly, everybody in our staff was fine. Everybody in our unit was fine. So we were cool. What we ended up having to do was legitimately lock the hotel down with chains.
Wow.
Chains. And I would have to go downstairs in like this elevator, and I would have to check in people name by name and number of rooms they were going into, because everybody that was coming to me, they were scared, like, oh no.
And you had to pat them down in every area?
I didn't have to pat them down. That wasn't part of the procedure. But what was part of the procedure was actually letting them in, making sure they were guests, and making sure that they were okay. And that was it.
What if they had an AK-47?
They're not gonna come in with an AK-47. We already know who we checked in.
I would have come in with an AK-47.
Let's hope not, dude. But anyways, we did that whole thing. It was complete lockdown. The street was closed down from like 2 a.m. to 5 in the morning. The news media showed up. We didn't want to be.
News media.
We didn't want to be interviewed. We did not want to be interviewed. I didn't want to be.
No comment.
No. This is just for our own protection. We just don't want to be interviewed.
Well, for my own protection, no comment.
No, in all seriousness though, because like if you, regardless, you speak out against the gang like that, dude, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
Because you're basically snitching. Oh, I saw this guy who's described as this.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody. I'm just describing what I heard. That's it. So, anyways,
Facts.
I was describing earlier. This was just a school project, and it gets better.
Did you mention this in your report for your school project?
Yes.
Be like, hey guys.
So it gets
Don't
better.
worry, it's my sixth time.
Like an A+.
So it gets better. I finally do this project at the end of the year. It's like a 2-hour presentation, basically.
And there's a shooting at your presentation.
I've been shot at 6 times. A+.
I tell the class, the principal, the vice principal, everybody's there. I'm telling the story to. Everybody I look at is having their mouths dropped to the floor. Okay. What did we send this kid into?
Yeah, what did they do to you?
And they at that point they just changed the whole curriculum of working, that whole thing.
Wow.
Oh, you saved the entire school. They're like, we freaking love you.
They changed the entire curriculum. How
Yeah.
crazy.
After I spoke to one of my friends about a year later, they said, yeah, they changed it up a lot. Like,
Wow.
That's. And the fact is that he was the one to change it because he's like, oh, again, I've been shot at not once, not twice, not just the Crips and the Bloods, but 6 times, guys. I've been shot at 6 times. Oh, and it's fine. And so the teachers are like, we're going to be sued. We need to change this now.
Wow.
Insane, dude. That is actually an insane story. So literally anything that, because I used to work on this base with Starkiller, by the way, many years later. But I mean, so like
later.
the stuff that I went through is minuscule compared to what he's gone through. Yeah, it's just that's crazy, dude. You know, I haven't even heard these stories till right now too. So
Yeah.
that's really cool.
I mean, at this point, I'm already commander. After that, I already got my badge and my rank up already. Like, I'm already training the other.
No gun bullets.
I'm training the other rookies as it is right now, and they're doing just as fine. Some of them you gotta let go. Some of them are like still in Beskar and whatnot. But you gotta work with what you're given,
Wow.
I gotta say, for the most part, I mean, there's one time when I had that person freak out on me and stuff, but I mean, I feel like I have a good ability to calm people down, at least in a serious situation.
Yeah.
But none of that compares, like I said, none of that compares to what you've gone through. That's just, it's crazy.
Yeah, dude, I mean, I could honestly write a book of what I went through, and this is just only a small fraction. And
You could title it Before I Turned 18.
before I turned 18, dude, I can tell it before I turned 30.
On the base.
Wow. So, okay, let's get into something deeper than this. Why do you choose to wear the mask?
So
Is this the way?
Is it the Mandalorian effect that you guys
This is
know?
the way.
let me do my Mandalorian voice. It's gonna suck, but this is the way. Okay, yeah, that's terrible. But anyways, yeah, this is not gonna be my forever mask. I want to make that clear. I'm a big Stormtrooper fan, but I love the clones. Die-hard Clone Wars fan. Die-hard 501st member, Star Wars fan. Die-hard Mandalorian fan. So this is just for now. I want to make that clear.
So why wear the mask?
So why I'm wearing the mask is it kind of goes into a more personal depth I'll get into, I guess. I guess younger, I wasn't like the most popular kid in school, whatever. I mean, looking back on it, it makes sense. I'm like, oh yeah, I was a big nerd back then. Big, annoying kid, whatever.
Nothing wrong with that.
And I guess in a way, I just don't want people recognizing who I am as a person. I don't like to be associated like, oh, now he's this guy, Look at him, he's all successful. Look at him, he got some business going on. I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that, not yet at least. I want to put myself in a position where I'm just focused on what I'm doing, basically. I don't want people looking at who I am as a person as of yet. It's better to, I guess, build myself up.
You want to stay humble.
Basically, yeah. I don't want people.
Stay humble.
I don't want
Be
people.
up there, but you don't want to know people are up there.
Tell you what though, guys, let's just be real. The nerds, they're coming back. It's a thing. Like,
Dude,
no, for real
nerds
though.
get so much fucking pussy, dude. No bullshit. No bullshit. I'm not kidding you. If I could tell you every guy I've known to get that fucking much girls,
All I'm saying is that there was a point in time when a boy named Poindexter would be bullied to no end, But nowadays, now that like video games and like movies and stuff are as popular as they are, people think it's so cool. They're like, oh my gosh, that's awesome,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If you show up to school in like a stormtrooper helmet, they may make fun of you at first, but like you have to know about 90% of the rest of the school is gonna think, dude, this guy's freaking awesome.
And you know what it really is, dude? What I've come to recognize what it is about, it's what you're passionate about. Whether you're passionate about your podcast, jiu-jitsu, Star Wars, DC, girls, in my opinion, are attracted to what you're passionate about. What you're doing on your business, your end, whether it be, whatever. They like that sort of thing.
They just want to see, people just want to see people who are comfortable in their own skin, comfortable with what they like, simple as that.
That's just what I've come to recognize. I mean, I'm just a 25-year-old kid. I don't know shit, so.
I gotta say, I know this is nowhere near the topic and stuff, but we're trying to do some stuff with Starkiller Mike's helmet. I'm gonna make it all tricked out and stuff, and then just like the creativity in my mind already. This whole time has been going off of like what I'm gonna do to make it better and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude, I owe you for that. I really do appreciate that a lot because how it's been, guys, is originally I was supposed to do a podcast with them for like weeks on end, and what ended up happening is just work is just how it is right now because I've been working 7 days for pre-COVID, like I said, 3-4 years straight, and I've just been doing that, just getting on my grind, saving up my money, doing what I need to do because the business calls for it, and it's going to come a time soon where I'm just going to get some time off and kick it with the boys for a little bit, because I need it, man. I really do need it.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you here.
Yeah, dude.
We're glad to finally have you on the podcast.
Thanks for joining us, and thank you for sharing some of those
glad
stories.
that we had all these crazy stories. We are going to have plenty more, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is only the tip of the iceberg. I still got several stories. I got stabbings. I got people getting heart attacks. I had the FBI come by one time and Homeland Security. So we're gonna get into all that.
Wow.
So
that'd be insane.
Yeah, guys, stay tuned. It's gonna be insane. It's gonna be some pretty good stories along the way. So
FBI.
Look at me. I'm not like this bulk guy, but I do know my stuff. I do know my stuff.
The man
I do know how to
knows
handle myself.
He's good.
And
will you be taking on Jake Paul soon?
Yes. Jake Paul, if you ever hear this, I will come for you. I will find you, and I'm going to get you. You can't disrespect the art of jiu-jitsu like that, bro. I mean, this is no bullshit.
Do you think he'll beat Dylan Dennis in a boxing
I'll
fight?
start writing up the death certificate.
Do you think he'll beat Dylan Dennis in a boxing fight?
Fuck no. No,
you think he's gonna lose in a boxing fight?
How it works with the sport of boxing and jiu-jitsu or any sport? There's levels, dude. There's levels to how you do things.
Yeah, but okay. I respect Dylan Dennis as a jiu-jitsu person. He's a god. But I'm saying as a boxer, he got better in his second fight. Okay. But I don't know if he's as good as Jake Paul.
I have to mention this because I've done boxing before and jiu-jitsu, and I know the differences between the two as a martial art. And boxing is a martial art, just for the record.
Okay.
Anyways, when it comes to boxing and jiu-jitsu, it's a completely different game. You're talking about like cardio. You're talking about stamina. You're building up. Whereas jiu-jitsu is all groundwork. You're working on like getting into guillotines, headlocks, leg locks, all that different stuff. Completely different cardio. You're working with a completely different animal. And this is just from years and years of experience that I've been through, and I've rolled with people that I've come to know over the years. And that's why when you look at Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, when they had that fight, it made sense why he lost, because the stamina wasn't there. He was preparing for an MMA fight. He wasn't preparing for a boxing fight. Completely two different things. Because I've been like 13, 12 rounds in the ring before, and you gotta, how do I explain it? When you're going that long, you're getting gassed out, dude. Especially if you're getting bombs thrown on your face, your gut. It weighs down on you.
Okay, so you... do you have Logan Paul or Mayweather?
Fucking Mayweather.
Mayweather.
Now, I'll tell you why Mayweather. First of all, again, I'll go back to what I said before. There's levels to this shit. There's levels. And even in the mid, lightweight, featherweight, all that shit, there's levels to that too. And I'll do what Horace Gracie said. You could put the fucking devil on the other side, and I'm just going to still walk into that fight, It doesn't matter who you are, but your technique is what matters. In the art of jiu-jitsu, and the art of boxing, and the art of Muay Thai, that's where it really counts. Now, I haven't been on like this Logan Paul, Jake Paul thing, but he beat up some basketball player, which makes sense.
Nate Robinson.
Dude, basketball player doesn't know. I'm sorry, I don't mean to bag on this guy, but he doesn't know jack shit about boxing. He doesn't.
Yeah.
And because he doesn't know jack shit about boxing, it makes sense how someone who's training for boxing is going to kick his ass. Mm-hmm. I could have kicked his ass.
What a surprise.
Yeah, it's not a surprise. He's a basketball. He's trained into basketball. It's what you're trained into that matters,
I mean, I think regardless, as long as you practice and like you work your butt off on it. I mean, look at Michael Jordan too,
Yeah. Look at Kobe, dude. Kobe would wake up 5 a.m. He would go train basketball when nobody else was training basketball for like hours on end. That right there is dedication. Like I said, there's levels to how this stuff works. There's levels on.
The point is, you can't just jump in and assume you're going to be good. You're going to get knocked the heck out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Especially with boxing.
I find it. I mean, it's not. At first, when I was younger, I hated on Conor McGregor because he would bag on a lot of my favorite guys. You know, growing up as a kid. But now I learned to kind of respect the man because when he actually beats people, it's more like a humbleness to him. You know, when he loses or the other person loses, he understands how much it took for that person to lose and get to lose in front of his wife, his kids, in front of everybody. It weighs down on people a lot. But I like that sportsmanship within any sport: Muay Thai, boxing, Jiu-Jitsu, Taekwondo. And people want to bag on Taekwondo, but if you know what you're doing in Taekwondo, then you're good. Basically, you're set. You know, any sport you could be good at. Any sport you could be good at. But martial art is a completely different game. It's not a sport. It's something you practice, something you live by, a philosophy. You know, and when I see people like not appreciating the philosophy of the sport, it's like, what are you really doing? You know, what are you really doing?
I agree.
And
gun to the head. Do you have Poirier or McGregor coming January 23rd? Rematch of the century.
Corey or who?
McGregor.
I honestly think my gut tells me Conor, but I think Corey can do it.
So gun to the head. Who you got?
I'm gonna go Conor. I'm gonna have to say Conor. I think Conor can do it, just based off of his past.
Honestly, I think he's gonna.
Poirier, I think can.
I think he's gonna lose and then fight Jake Paul.
You think he's gonna lose intentionally?
No, he's not gonna lose intentionally. I think Poirier has been working in the sport, and Conor's just been chilling with his big ass money.
I don't. No, dude. I mean, honestly, I don't think Conor would do that. I mean, as a jiu-jitsu fighter, you are constantly upping your game. You're constantly.
I know, but Conor's not a jiu-jitsu fighter.
I know
he's
that,
not. He's a striker.
I'm using that as an example, though.
But I'm just saying that Poirier has fought Khabib. He's been fighting nonstop, and I think that his striking is much better. And I think he has a better chin now because I think Conor might hit him with one, but it doesn't matter. Poirier is gonna get up, and he's just gonna keep striking. I mean, when Poirier punches for good, I mean he has some good combos, some good combinations, and I think he's gonna take him out, and then Conor's going to be at a low, and then he's just going to be like, fuck it, let's just get the big payday. He's going to fight Jake Paul, and then he's going to lose.
That's a good point.
I think he's going to lose to Jake Paul.
I think he's not going to lose to Jake Paul. I'll be shocked if he loses to Jake Paul.
I'm putting money down on Logan Paul.
If he boxes Jake Paul, that's going to be different.
It's going to be a boxing fight.
It's not going to be in the UFC ring?
No.
Oh, okay.
Jake Paul's not stupid, dude. Jake Paul's only going to be in the boxing ring. The only person that could be in the MMA ring is Logan Paul because he can do a little bit of wrestling, but even then he wants to be in the boxing ring. So they're all going to be in the boxing.
Like I said, there's ranks to this stuff.
There's levels. I understand. There's levels. There's definitely levels, but I think Jake Paul is levels higher than some of these MMA fighters because they rely on the MMA fighters. They rely on the MMA fighting because they know they can take you down. They know that. Once you're in the cage, they could take you down. It's their game. But when it has to do with boxing and they can't take you down, it's just stand up the entire time. I think Jake Paul's gonna win.
I disagree. I honestly strongly disagree. I mean, I've seen Muay Thai fighters just go to distance with boxing fighters.
Yeah, but that's Muay Thai. Muay Thai fighting. No. Hold on. Muay Thai is boxing and kickboxing. Muay Thai is entire kickboxing. Elbows. It's just that's boxing.
But that's my point, though. That's exactly.
But that's not jiu-jitsu. We're talking about jiu-jitsu fighters.
But that's my point. That's my point about Muay Thai is that at least you have the boxing part of it. You have the throwing your fist. You know what it's like to do that sort of cardio. Whereas maybe Jake Paul will get more of the boxing done with him. I don't know who the fuck his trainer is, honestly. I'm not even looking into that.
He has unlimited money, so he has the best trainers possible.
I don't know, man.
So I just don't see. I mean, they're training nonstop. The Paul brothers are training nonstop because everyone is doubting them. 99% of the world is doubting them because that's how they've always been. 99% of the world doubting them. 100%. I don't know if he can beat. I don't know if Logan Paul can beat Mayweather, but I think there's going to be a slight chance. And I think the size advantage
I know Mayweather's game. I don't mean to cut you off, but I know Mayweather's game.
I mean, he's the greatest of all time, in my opinion. He's the greatest of all time.
Well, he's the great. Here's how I see it.
The greatest defensive boxer of all
He's
time.
the greatest defensive boxer of all time, and that's facts right there.
Yes, a fact.
That's a fact. Now, if you want to talk about most knockouts, you're looking.
No,
at
obviously he's not a
you're
power
looking at
puncher.
Mike
He's not a
Tyson.
power puncher. He's not a power puncher.
You're looking at those greats, but what I predict is Mayweather will go the distance. He will learn. He was going to gas.
If he goes the distance, Logan loses.
He's going to go.
Logan has to win by knockout.
He went the distance with Pacquiao. He went the distance with Canelo in 2013, right? And
I mean, to be honest, he fought Canelo when he was doing. He's like, dude, this guy's gonna get too good. I'm gonna fight him before he gets way too good.
I know he will never do a rematch, but
he will never do. He is gonna lose.
I would love to.
He would lose.
Mayweather's actually gonna lose.
If he fought Canelo,
For
bro,
sure.
he would lose.
Have you seen him fight with I can't remember.
Canelo fought the 6'7" man, bro. I mean,
know.
he was 6'4".
That guy can take bombs.
That's what I'm saying.
He takes bombs.
But he
when
beat
goes into
him.
the
He
ring.
beat him. Canelo is the GOAT. I mean, right now,
for sure.
present time, he's the GOAT. But you know,
Guys, he's only saying that because he's. And look at his hair.
Relatively,
look at his red hair. It's the obvious why he's saying.
Relatively speaking, I think Logan has a chance, but he has to just KO him with one punch. So that's what he has to practice that. And
There's no gonna be.
I think Logan has a work ethic that people don't understand, because all you see is like the finishing product and all you see is the results, but you don't see what's actually happening, and you don't know him as an actual person. I think he actually has a work ethic to make it there. So I think there's a chance, and that's why I'm putting money down on Logan.
I think he does have a. I'm not going to deny he does not have a work ethic. He's obviously doing something right if he's just vlogging every single day.
I mean, he used to.
No, I don't follow him anymore.
But, I mean, the thing is there's no denying Mayweather is the best fighter of all time, the best defensive fighter of all time, and they say that he only has one addiction, and that's the gym. He only has one addiction, and that's just being in the gym every single day, every single hour. He has no vices. All he does is, I need to be in the gym. That's his vice. And that's what makes him so good. It's just hard work, practice. So I think he will win unless Logan can find this miraculous one-punch knockout. And I think he can, because
you're talking about a world
how
champ.
tall is Mayweather? Like 5'8"?
Yeah, 5'5".
Like
5.
Logan Paul's 6'2" and like 60 pounds heavier.
It's like I said back in my earlier comment. I'm going to say it again. It's Royce Gracie. It doesn't matter who you're fighting. It's just matters on your technique. And honestly,
I would say
Mayweather's
jiu-jitsu is
technique
different.
on
Like
point.
you can't do one hit KO on jiu-jitsu.
No, but you're missing the philosophical point. It's the technique that matters.
Okay. I mean, if it's a technique fight, then obviously
But
Mayweather's done.
That's what I'm saying,
obviously
though.
Mayweather's gonna win.
That's what I'm saying, though. Every fight that I've seen is always based on technique. Now, when you're talking about what Abasabi versus what was that guy who just stood there? What's his name? Big bulky guy versus that tall guy.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Fuck, I remember the name of the fight, but that was a very disappointing fight when you have this literally taller guy versus this bulky power cruncher, but I can't remember his name.
It's okay. We'll figure out next time. But anyway, it was great to have you as a guest, Star Killer Mike.
No, thank you for having me.
We're going to have you on for sure many more times after this. You're a great guest.
Thank you.
I was very happy to hear all the stories. Kyle, the Kylus, was ecstatic to have Star Killer Mike back here. But, you know, we're going to catch you guys on the next podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for subscribing. Please hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon. You know, it means a lot to us, but we're gonna see you next week. I'm sure we're gonna do a normal podcast with the Rare crew, with Madeline Rose and